Okay. Alright. Okay, alright, here we go. Okay. So, here's Security Breach. Here's the Security Breach page. Alright. This is the game. Now, my initial issues with this game are that it's FNAF. Because obviously there was that whole thing with Scott last year, or this year rather, back in like June, July, where he was giving money to Republicans, and obviously Republicans are not very fun. If you are not a straight dude, they don't particularly like you. Um, so take that as you will. Now he was giving money to them. Whatever. This has all been done. Everyone's been on Twitter. Everyone's seen this. Like that's not the issue. My issue is that people, some people were like, oh, FNAF is coming out on December 16th. But I don't particularly feel like I can trust it anymore as an LGBT person because I am someone who, has invested a lot of time in it and I love it. But now he's come and stabbed me in the back for my patronage for him. I don't want to do it. Like that's how people have been. And then the response they got, because some people wanted to boycott the game, the response they got is no, Steel Wool is not associated with Scott. Steel Wool is its own entity, and Scott has got nothing to do with the game. So you boycotting it makes no sense. You're punishing someone who's not related to it. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. It's not related. These guys are completely independent of Scott. Game comes out. The people who like this game are praising Scott for it. You will see it in a couple of reviews below. Some people are like, oh, yeah, Scott did a fantastic job in this one. Or even some of the negative views were like, yeah, Scott, I don't know why Scott let this happen. It's like, so I'm confused. Was Scott involved or not? Because if Scott was involved, then I couldn't give less of a shit about this game. I mean, I already don't. But I couldn't give less of a shit about this game. And I'm sorry, look at this price tag. This is fucking ridiculous. This, to ask this much. Because you know what this game is at the end of the day? It's Outlast. I've said it before, I'll keep saying, because Outlast isn't that impressive. For its time, maybe. But Outlast now is not that impressive. It's run from point A to point B. Oh, I've got to turn on the generator. And then now there's a chase scene, and then I fall, and then, like, body horror, like, they cut off your finger. And then, it's just run through areas. Go here, do this, go here, do this, go here, do this. What makes it scary is, there's, like, the musical sting when you get caught, and sometimes you have to hide. In this, that is not the case. I wish I had footage to show you. I mean, God, okay, hold on. Let me do this quick. I made a very, very short video. So if you want to watch something that's a bit more, like, together, and is less, like, sort of rambly, you can go watch that. It's, like, 5 minutes. But, so, like, you can find plenty of the technical issues in there. That cause it. And I think this pisses me off, right? Because this has been delayed already. People have been waiting like 2 years for it. And they charge this much money for it. And people will defend it going, oh, like, they'll patch it into a better state soon. It's only been out a day. It's only been out a couple of days. At this point, it's almost been out a week. But what annoys me is that when you're saying you're going to bring something out by a specific date, you are saying what I'm going to give you will be complete, will be finished, and will be enjoyable, and will be worth the money you are paying for it by the date it is coming out. So if I'm going to give you something on the 16th of December and you are paying $40 for it, £30, $40, that means that you are paying this money for a complete product by this date. Who the fuck turns up to a restaurant, sits down, goes, oh yeah, I'd like the margarita pizza, please. So they go away, they come back, and they give you like just baked dough with a little bit of tomato sauce on it. And they go, oh yeah, start eating. In 5 minutes, I'll bring you the rest of the sauce. And in 10 minutes, I'll bring you the cheese on top of the pizza. How is that? It's not acceptable in a restaurant. Why is it acceptable in this? When I sold the book to people, I didn't go, oh, I'll give you the first chapter, the first physical chapter torn out, and then I'll send you the other ones, like, over time. Or I'll send you, like, the rough draft, and then I'll send you, like, the better editions as I go. Like, that's ridiculous that people excuse this. I think it's so stupid to me. Also, oh my gosh. I swear this is more than Red Dead 2. This is more space than Red Dead 2. That annoys me as well. How? How have you possibly done that? Alright, now we're getting into the reviews. Oh my god! Okay. Yes, alright, I agree. Oh, okay. Alright, here's one. Oh. I thought someone was coming in. So we have, let's already address the disparity in some of these reviews, alright? So, here are the positive reviews. I don't get why people dislike it. This game's way too good. Like, they're joke reviews. They're just stuff like this, like simple sentences. When you get to the negative reviews, people have left entire essays. Like, look at the disparity in, like, the comprehensiveness. Like, please breach me, Monty. And then the game is fun and it's very core. Like, it's completely different. So, how many reviews has this got, actually? What is the current standing? Mostly positive. It shot up. It was a lot lower. It shot up. So I don't know if they've, like, improved it. I think it's awful. I think it's an awful game. I beg everyone that is considering buying this game to read this review. This game is not worth it, not at the current price. It has too many it's quite unforgiving, it's extremely finicky, it's awfully optimized. Playing this game as a chore, wait for it to be improved. Watch your playthrough for now. This is an amazing game. Can't make it past the daycare part. What? 3 hours? No, it takes you like an hour to get to that part. So this guy was stuck for 2 hours. No, what? Okay. What the fuck? You see what I mean with some of these reviews? Like, what the fuck? 54 people found this helpful. Yeah, thank you, man. Like, what are these reviews for this game? What? A little buggy, a little rough. Lots of positive. I think these are new. When have these come out? I did not see these last time I checked. Everyone is... Okay, here we go. Alright, now we're getting a little bit... Oh, no. I think people... Okay. Alright, okay. Never mind. Alright. This game is fun as it's very core. The Pizzaplex is a massive map with so many areas to be explored. It's entirely a heavy stealth game like Alien Isolation. That is an insulting comparison. What? Like an Alien Isolation. And a bit of iteration of its former FNAF games. A sort of fleshed out perspective and still respective to its brand title. Problem with the map was that you could get lost easily since it didn't add any useful navigation. Other than that, they made some very clever level design areas and lots of fun environments, each attraction having many ways or puzzles to survive. Game design is very cool, has a very old school save mechanic where it only has save stations throughout the entire map. It does have auto saves, but most of it seems unfinished. Okay, yeah, the saving is a massive issue. So, there's this massive disparity, I think. Or there's something so surreal. Because when I used to watch FNAF, I mean, everyone watched FNAF from, like, Markiplier, Corey Kenshin, whatever. Like, who didn't come home from school and, like, oh, Markiplier's uploaded a new FNAF 2 episode. Like, I did that. Like, that was my whole childhood throughout secondary school. Just watching FNAF from Markiplier. From year 8 to GCSE. But the issue comes with that I've watched Markiplier play it, and there's something just so jarring about seeing bugs in the game from a FNAF game. There's something so jarring, because, like, the Markiplier video is almost like a stamp of quality. Like, he plays through it, and, like, it's smooth, it's buttery, and it's like, oh, this is a fun game. I'm gonna play this game. But then you see it in Markiplier's. I think in the most recent episode, Freddy's T-posing in a void. There's... Oh, God, what's another one? The autosave issue. You can die. It's so stupid. So if you, for instance, get to an area, and you start the area, you go through a cutscene, and then there's, like, a sequence, and you die in a sequence. You have to go through everything you've done since you last saved. There's no autosaving, which I don't understand at all as to why there's no autosaving. It's, like, just... Like unnecessary inconvenience shoved in. And it's really stupid. The game also doesn't explain any mechanics, so it's like, oh, you can stun this one, but not these guys, and oh, we need to take pieces from them to upgrade. Sorry, I realize I'm spoiling the entire game, but I like to think I'm saving you $40 if any of you are curious about this. To anyone, like, on the VOD or here now, because please do not buy this game. Because the issues are not just with the bugs, because the bugs are awful, they completely take you out of it. But the core gameplay loop, do you want to know what it is? Furry Outlast. If that intrigues you, go ahead, pay $40 for it. But, like, it's not a special game. And I don't understand how people are rewarding this game for doing what every other horror game has done in the past decade. Yes, you've been sat in a single spot for every other single FNAF installment. But, like, now that you can move around, you've got to impress me a lot more than just the ability to, like, use WASD keys, you know? Like, I don't get how people are like, oh, wow, yeah, this is fantastic. Fuck off and play another game. What is this? How are you praising this? If you paid $40 for this game and you enjoy it, what? Props to you. Like, well done. I'm glad you managed to find some form of enjoyment from this game. But it just annoys... Don't praise it for shit other games have done already. Like, it's not a revolutionary title. It's... Oh. I don't know if I'm, like, disproportionately or irrationally angry at this game, because I can hear in myself that I'm quite passionate speaking about it. but it just annoyed because there are so many games. Like, what about Everhood? What about Outer Wilds? Like, even we want to talk horror games. SCP Containment Breach had more to it than Security Breach does. Like, I think it's they've using the word breach. They should not be even allowed to use it. Not for legal reasons. I think 'cause they just haven't earned it. It doesn't feel like a security breach. It just feels like you're walking around. Security breach is like a vocal, like, oh yeah, this is a high alert situation. No, you're walking around. You play laser tag at one fucking point, man. You're playing fucking laser tag. Like, what is this game? Sorry, I realize I've had this review up. I'm not going to be too long on this. I know we've already been 15 minutes, but anyway, the game design is very cool. Has a very old save mechanic. It's only saved through stations on the whole map. It does have autos. Wait, most of it seems unfinished. I was going to say, maybe they still have plans to make more ahead of time. Stupid. No, they should have had it finished. That's where the community complains that soft saves were lacking after in-game cutscenes. There are also separate recharge stations. This is one thing. The game reminds you, like, it hits you over the head fucking 40 times every time you boot it up again. This is how you recharge your flashlight. Recharge your flash. This is how you recharge this and that. But then it doesn't, like, elaborate anything else. And then every objective you get given from Freddy is like, oh, okay, in order to get in here, you need to upgrade your security pass. So if you want to do that, you have to go to the security office. But in order to get into the security office, you need to find a key. Now, to get into that key, you need another key that's stored in the go-karting lockers. But the go-karting lockers is guarded by 2 security bots. Now, to disable the security bots, you need to go and get a mechanical tool from the workshop. But that's in parts and service. Now, in parts and service, that is locked down. You need another security badge. You're going to have to go to the inferior security office that's over in the front desk. But the front desk is guarded by Chica. Now, in order to get rid of Chica, you need to go and get some pizza from the kitchen. But the kitchen is locked. So now, to get into the kitchen, you need to go into the arcade, play a game, put a coin in, then get the key, go into the kitchen. Like, that, I'm only slightly exaggerating as to how that gameplay is, how the gameplay loop is. It's all of that. It's just fetch quest after fetch quest after fetch quest, just again and again, and it's ridiculous in the dialogue. You can hear it because Freddy needs to give you information on, like, what to do next, which I don't know why they don't just have in, like, an objective bar that you can put up. But, like, it goes on for so long, it almost becomes ridiculous to listen to with how much information he needs to tell you. By the next sentence, you've forgotten what you needed to do. It's so silly. It's such a silly game. That's all I can describe it as. It's a silly game, and I feel bad because I imagine that if I had put effort into this game and some idiot on Twitch was then, like, tearing it apart, like, as much as I'm trying to, I'd be a little bit like, yeah, how about you know, I put 2 years into this, like, back off, guy. Like, I'd get that. But when you're asking so much money, like, I think it's fair game. It's not like I've pulled up a free-to-play horror game that's just a Unity store asset flip and I'm just ripping into it. Like, this is a game that people have paid loads of money for, and I don't think it's fair that they ask that much. This should have been $10. I think it's so ridiculous. The bad news is the launch of this game was quite a mess. The performance has major issues. It can stutter sometimes. I don't even know what DLSS means. It's not optimized, which means massive FPS drops if you enable ray tracing. RTX isn't an enjoyable experience, so you need to turn it off. There are also a bunch of possible game-breaking bugs that prevent you from continuing a sequence of the story. Now, so what this brings up, people have been talking about this quite a bit. One of the issues people were like is, oh, this game is intended for, like, high-end PCs. This is intended for high-end console stuff, whatever, if you're on PC. So it's like almost like the Cyberpunk 2077 angle that people were going. Like, oh, Cyberpunk 2077 is clearly marketing itself towards people who have the necessary requirements to play the game, because it obviously had major bugs when it first came out. However, the difference between Cyberpunk and Security Breach, Cyberpunk is a standalone title. So when it came out, it was like, if this is for you, it's for you. And if you can't play it, then you just get a refund, whatever. Like, it's not like you've been waiting on a series. In FNAF, this game has had a legacy of being worth $8, and, like, you could run it on a potato. Like, FNAF 1, FNAF 2, you could run on a potato. Like, that's the legacy it has. So when you suddenly step up to this, and you go, oh, it's £40, or £30 rather, and, oh, also, by the way, you need a high-end PC to play this, and if you can't, then it's like, well, what about like the foundation of people who, like, form, like, your fan base? And I hate bringing up the word fan, because it makes me sound like those, like, you know, like those YouTube pundits who are like, these guys, they betrayed the fans, they're in it for the money, you know, those kind of people. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is I think it's just stupid. But I don't particularly care about the fans. I'm just saying it's not really a good explanation when people have been invested in this for so long. And for you to just turn around and be like, this is only really available to people on PC that have high-end tech. Like, I don't think that's not an official quote from them, but that's like a justification people are giving for the bad performance it gets. Some people also give a justification that, oh, like if this is their first time doing a game like this, cut them some slack. No, if it was a free-to-play game, once again, like, yeah, wouldn't care. I think it actually looks great for a free-to-play. But that's the issue. You're charging me £30 for a free-to-play. It looks like a free-to-play horror game. It's very flashy, it looks fantastic, but it's free-to-play. So I don't get how people can defend it on that basis. So as far as I've played it, almost the end of the story postulates that the entire game is still incomplete. What? Some of the voice lines... I haven't seen this, and it needs some work. The Fazwatch map isn't fully implemented either, since backtracking is part of the game. Yet, it doesn't mark any of the rooms. Freddy will be like, I've marked it on your map, doesn't come up on your map. I've seen it. There was also supposed to be a meter for Vanny. What? What? Turns out... Okay, so Vanny is like the bunny person you see around, like this ghostly apparition that you have to avoid. By the way, she turns up like 3-4 times in a game. She's meant to be the main antagonist. She barely ever turns up. So you know how, like, I'm going to compare it to Outlast because in news articles there are direct comparisons to Outlast in regards to gameplay. So let's say, for instance, Chris Walker. You know the big guy who's like, little pig, he like tears your head off? That guy. You meet him first in the security room, and he's a good villain, not because like there's anything distinct about his motivations. He's just there to kill you. That's what he exists for. But he's like Mr. X pretty much. Like he's just there to like clear the contamination. But what makes him good is that you'll just be done with the task, and all of a sudden he turns up, and now he's just thrown the whole situation into the trash, and you have to deal with it. Oh, he's coming into the room, I've got to hide. Oh, like I've just walked through this yard and he's just turned up in front of me. Oh, I'm in the dark and he's in the water with me. Like he turns up so many times as repeated antagonist, trying to hunt you down and kill you. But with Vanny, she never turns up. I don't understand how they didn't do that. Like there are so many situations with like where you've just escaped an animatronic, and then like it's just like sort of like 5 minutes of just walking around. That would have been perfect for like, oh, now Vanny's turned up, now I've got to deal with this. But that doesn't happen either. This is what I mean, but like so many of the issues of this game are at the core. Like you can address the bugs, and you need to address the bugs, but like you're not gonna fix this game. Because this is stuff that you did like a year ago in regards to core gameplay loops. Like you are not fixing it. This is never gonna be fixed. They can fix the AI, and they can like make it so like it's not nearly as buggy as it is, and they can reduce the number of security bots they put, which by the way they put everywhere just as a cheap difficulty increase. They put them fucking everywhere. They can like deal with that. They're never gonna fix this game. This game is never gonna be more than like oh, it's enjoyable. No one's gonna walk out from this game and be like, oh, this is horror. No one's going to bed at night terrified of this game. And in fairness, I didn't do it with Outlast either, but I had moments of tension, I had moments of fear. I was hiding in a locker and he was walking around where, like, the music rose and I'd have to run. Like, those are terrifying moments. But in this, like, what the fuck? None of it is scary. And I mean, do we even have to talk about white woman jump scare with Vanessa? Let me see if I can fucking find it. 1 second. Let me see if I can find it. White woman jump scare. I just want to see it. Just to show you, like, how laughable like this stuff is. Like, oh my god. Yeah, I've got it here. Look. Hold on. So... Let me get it up on screen for you, because this is the level we're dealing with here. Let me get it up on screen. I'm just gonna have this asset in my sources list now. Just white woman. Where is it? Photo assets. There we are. Yep. You see it? You see that this is one of the jump scares you get. She just stares at you like this, and then it's game over. This is what you get in this. Like, look how it's terrifying. I'll give you that. Absolutely terrifying. I'm glad they're not real. I'm glad they're not in real life. But like this is what you're dealing with in this. I need to delete this because I'm going to do the intro reel for next stream. And it's just going to come up with that. Oh my goodness. Okay, so there are more things that I like to complain about, but it's very long. The only words I could use to describe my experience were inconsistent, unpredictable, uncertain, and frustration. Steelwall needs to update their store page because it is explicably as an early access game. They must make sure they need more time to polish out the flaws until it can be recommended for others to play it. Willing to wait for other developers to manage for time to fix it. Even though I understand there are only about 15-ish people who worked on this big project, we must take accountability. Maybe they should have delayed it longer. I don't feel like that's fair to put on them, because a lot of the time it's not the devs that decide this. It's like publishers, it's like people who own FNAF. Like, they're like, you've got to get this out now. 5 frames at Freddy. Okay, now that's a good one. That's a good review. Alright, when did this one come out? 20th December. Oh, that's 2 days ago. Alright, let's talk about this game. I don't recommend this game in its current state. As it sits currently, this game needed a few more months before release. This game is a buggy mess that made me upset beyond reason multiple times. I have a few examples for each issue I'll bring up. First things first, the graphics of the game are great, and they're honestly amazing. As it sits, as many other comments have said it makes you feel like you're wandering an amazing theme park. It does look amazing. It looks fantastic. I think the environments are great, and they're like lived-in environments. They look fantastic. This is like, I'll walk into like my local Hollywood Bowl, and this is the kind of shit I'll see. Like, it has that sort of, it has not just that vibe, it has that aesthetic to it, like the sort of the mall attraction entertainment stuff. Like, it has that aesthetic to it. One of the blessings and curses of this game is the lighting. Oh god. Expect the lighting to randomly disable in room and randomly... Yep, I've seen that. I've seen cutscenes, like assets still loading in mid-cutscene. I've seen people teleport mid-cutscene. I've seen Freddy standing in front of you during a cutscene. I've gone to... By the way, I've already been spoiling this for you, but if you are planning on playing this for whatever reason, which I highly advise against, you're not going to obviously want to keep watching. I don't know how long I'm going to keep doing this for. Probably not much longer, because it is getting close to 8, and it's going to be dinner soon. Anyway, spoilers ahead. I had gone to the parts and service area and had to unlock the way through with the multiple endoskeletons. However, there is meant to be dim lighting throughout all the halls so that the player can at least see to the end. The lighting had turned off completely, so these animatronics I couldn't see in the dark were moving till I looked in their direction randomly based on sound. Wasn't a meant mechanic, as when I died a few times it fixed itself. Lights made it perfectly visible. Next thing is the pacing and the story. The story was good up until the end of the game. Felt like there were parts that I was generally guided along were well crafted for the most part. The game suffers from a lot of confusing style choices as well as a lot of backtracking. Now, I actually haven't seen the end of the game, so I'm gonna spoil it for myself here, because I was planning on watching it through Corey. But I had 2 issues that stand off the top of my head. I'd chosen to use my party pass on Monty Golf. I totally suggest that, by the way, as the camera is better than the blaster. I was instructed then to go to security room, grab a security badge upgrade. I'd gone to do so, then was instructed to go to the Mazer sides attract. You see, this is what I mean. Go here, go here, go here. Like, that's it. Like Alien Isolation to an extent, which you've got to go here to do this. But like the ultimate goal, it all fed into this motivation of survival, and you really felt like you were going through this abandoned like space station that was inhabited by an alien killing machine. This is Fetch Quest. It's Simulator. As I had gone back up, I had an issue finding the pass into the attraction, and had actually found the maintenance access card by just randomly exploring. Well, the pass for Mazer sides was in the security room right next to the door you entered just before Freddy tells you you're not safe and that you need to leave. This was not spelled out anywhere, as I spent the better part of an hour looking for the damn card. Also tip, because the answer for the Mazer sides is wrong. It will tell you to put the blue tile on the vent, it's the green one, trust me. Next issue comes with other things such as Roxy's Raceway. They require you to get ahead for the driver, but if you don't check your watch for lore, you'll miss that the head is on the other side of the racetrack. I went up to the Fazcade and got ready to do the mission, and then had to track back to find the head. Next is the bugs, and this isn't the worst one. I'll not spoil this, as these bugs won't break your immersion or be spoilers. As you go through the game, many bugs are apparent. You'll get stuck in places you weren't meant to, and then either have to quit to title and restart whatever you did, or you get killed and reset. Also, I stress this with caps, do not go back to Lost and Found. It restarted the progress back to that point. What? I was at 4 AM and got reset back to 2 AM. Oh, shit. Oh, wow, that is awful. Luckily, you maintain your items and progress for current missions of correct time. However, this bug will try and force you to redo missions. Next, in regards to glitches, is spots you can fit that the bots can't. Between arcade machines, little cracks and crevices, they will sit there and stare at you until you accept your fate, or stun them. Up next is the AI, and oh god, how long is this review? Okay, alright. Oh god. Watch someone besides Mark play. I did. I watched 8-Bit Ryan and Corey, and it's just as bad for both of them. Like, this isn't an acceptable response. Like, yes, I agree the game has some bugs, but also can be because of your setup, because it's a big game. Like, this is not acceptable either. Like, this is what I mean. Like, if he's been playing this from, like, game 1, and he's been invested in the story as, like, Kojima level as it is now, he's been invested. How is it acceptable to turn around and be like, yeah, it's your computer? Like, what is this Squad? He's not playing Squad, he's not playing Insurgency, he's playing, like, a WASD horror game. How can you... That's not acceptable. Like, these people defending this... I think they're trying to justify their purchase. I think they feel a little bit bad about their purchase. They're trying to justify it. As for the bugs, updates to the AI. This is worse than the bugs. Start the AI the worst. There are times they should have seen you when they didn't, and others on the opposite end. Most of the time it's a walking simulator with you just moving out of a wave of security bots. There are a few parts of the game I felt were very scary or thrilling, but that section, it was just walking to the next objective. There are 3 bots, Roxanne, Monty, and Chica. Those 3 patrol the whole pizzaplex. After you get a stunt... Okay, now we need to talk about this as well. I've seen obviously halfway, 3/4 of the game, watching Markiplier and Corey Kenshin. The scariest part of the game is like a Weeping Angel section, where like you have to go into parts and service, and all the while you have like these sort of endoskeletons that are like just motionless. They're just sitting there, they're deactivated. But then all of a sudden you'll turn around and one's move towards you, and they won't move unless you're looking at them. Now in the lore of the game, in regards to why the animatronics do it, if this isn't explained, it's just because it's scary. And ironically enough, the one part that they didn't try and bother to explain to you with regards to the story, in regards to how the animatronics work, is the one part that was actually the most scary. You go into this room to get the item you're down here for, like a key or something, and there's like endoskeletons just standing around the room, and they're completely frozen, they're deactivated. You grab it, you look down to grab it, and as you look up, they're all on. And they're just converging on you, and your field of vision isn't enough to see all of them, so you've just got to backpedal and like look in multiple directions, or pan left and right to stop them coming towards you, and you've got to pray the door is behind you. That it's watching it and not even playing it was really scary. And the reason why this is so scary is because you know how like you have a spider on your wall, you walk into your room, you see it, and you're like, oh shit, there's a spider on my wall, and like you won't look away. And the reason why is because you don't want to look away, because you don't want it to hide somewhere, or you don't want it to get closer to you. That's literally how the Weeping Angel section works. And that's why it's so scary, because the phobic stimulus, let's say, the thing you're scared of, is going to get closer to you. That's why it's so scary. But Joy of Creation did this. I'm not saying... It's a good trope for a reason. Like, it's a scary trope for a reason, and it's used for a reason. But the issue I have... is the scariest part of the FNAF game. You can't really attribute to it being a FNAF game. I attribute it to just being a trope that games use. Like, Joy of Creation did this, and it was a lot scarier, and the jump scares were visceral when they got you. Like, they made you jump in your seat. Like, in this, we have white woman jump scare. Like, that is it. The pizzaplex is filled with security bots that call one of the main 3 over, and then you just stun them from 10 seconds. If you're a Dead by Daylight survivor, click your flashlight at the bot and run. The bots begin to lack anything to fear and just become a nuisance after a bit. You walk from point A to point B, and if you have to stun the bot, don't worry, it recharges quickly. The game feels like it went by too quick for something of this caliber. It felt empty as most of the 13 hours. 13 hours! Okay, no, in fairness, I think it's... because I remember watching Markiplier and Corey, and the amount of times they've had to cut out like an hour of gameplay because they've just been walking around and able to find something is horrendous, the amount of times they've had to do it. So I can believe someone spent 13 hours on what is like a 5-hour game total, because you're just walking around for so long. Alright, stories aren't like... no, okay, take my word for it, the story's shit. The story's lame, and it's not... there's nothing gripping about it, because you're so distracted by all this monotonous stuff you have to do. That it really goes nowhere, and you're just so focused on, I'm gonna go here, I'm just gonna go here, I've got to go here to do this, to do this, to do this, to go here. Like, you never ever think about, oh, why is the bunny here? Why is Freddy not killing me? Why are the other animatronics doing it? Like, you're never bothering to think about that, because you're taken out of the moment every single time you, like, look left or right. Cutscenes are loading in, animatronics are teleporting in and out in front of your eyes, voice lines will play for animatronics that shouldn't be playing, the subtitles don't match to it, sometimes you clip through walls and floors and then animatronics will kill you, sometimes the animatronics find you while you're hiding when you're hiding, so they're not meant to be able to see you, sometimes, like, they will just, like, appear. I know I've already addressed that, but what really confuses me is that they'll be on the other side of a room, and the whole sort of attraction to this game is, I've got to avoid this thing, but if they hear me, they'll come running over. And to its credit, it's really scary to hear an animatronic running after you because they're stomping and the screen starts to shake. So if you do something on one side of a room and they're on the other, you're going to hear them running over, and that's terrifying. Because that's like, oh, I've got to hide, someone's coming. But if you knock something over, or if like a security bot finds you, they just teleport to you and then they kill you. So like, there's no sort of fear for them running over. They're just next to you the moment you get discovered. And it wouldn't be so bad if it was like a shooter game, or like a game where like you being scared isn't the primary focus. The primary focus is like a gameplay loop, or like some, like for instance, I don't know, what game, Darkest Dungeon. Like Darkest Dungeon has like these sort of eldritch themes, like the futility of existence, but like, if I'm not scared of it, doesn't matter, I'm just here to play the game. I'm here to like enjoy the mechanics, like the number crunching, all this kind of stuff. But in a horror game, the main focus is you need to scare me. Why do you think so many games primarily are me walking around? Because the atmosphere is meant to scare me, and like let's melt down Alien Isolation to what it is. It's me hitting E on a hiding space every 5 minutes and like walking around slowly. Like it's a scary game because of the atmosphere and because of like at any moment you could be ambushed or someone could come after you. Like this stuff is scary. But in FNAF Security Breach, I can't like invest myself in that. And the reason why is, like I was saying with Darkest Dungeon, if there are bugs coming up that are like, like graphical issues or like animations aren't really playing properly, that's fine. Because once again, I'm not here to invest myself in a story. I'm just here to play the game. I'll laugh at it. But in a game where you're trying to scare me, if you're having all these little issues coming up with graphical errors and people being where they're not meant to and lines playing where they're not meant to be played and people just like teleporting in and out in front of my eyes, then you're taking me out of it. And the issue then becomes that the frequency of these tiny little things becomes a massive thing in its own right. That's why it's not a scary game. I don't. If you found Security Breach scary, with all respect, you've either never played a horror game before, or you're a child. Like there is no way anyone has found this game scary at any point. And I remember watching Markiplier's playthrough, and he said after the Weeping Angel section, he was like, this is good. This is good. This is what this was a scary section to play through. But that's like 3 hours into the game, and that never comes up again. And closing comment, because I've spoken about this. I was going to speak about this 10 minutes. I've spoken about this for 40 minutes. Closing comment is with horror games, ultimately you need to be scary, right? That's the whole thing. That's why people play it. They want to be scared, or they want to be scared to some extent. Like some people don't want to be terrified. They just want to like feel like they're gonna die. Like it's just something like that. But the issue arises where with this sort of like duality is frustration and fear, and it's very difficult to balance this in games. And actually, to FNAF's, to the very little credit I can give Security Breach, it's not easy to juggle this. So in Outlast 2 was so like not scary and not difficult and not really that fun to play, because it would be like you've got to run away from this person who's going to kill you, and you'd have to run into like a direction, but then it would be an invisible wall that you couldn't tell was invisible, and then you die. And it's like, oh, I'll go this way, and then you die, and then you die, and then you die, and then you die. And what happens every time is that I'm not getting scared anymore. I'm getting frustrated, and I can't be frustrated and scared at the same time. If I'm frustrated, the game doesn't scare me anymore because I'm taken out of it. I'm just I'm angry at the fact that this game is not fun. So I'm not worried about the demons in my computer. I'm just worried about like I've put 2 hours into this game and it's not fun anymore. And the issue rises with Security Breach, because if the game isn't difficult enough, you don't feel any threat. You don't feel like they're ever going to kill you. So it doesn't become an issue. You're not scared anymore because there's no sense of threat in the game. There's no sense of impending doom. But on the other hand, if it's too hard, then that means you're frustrated, you're angry, you get pissed off, you're not scared of the game anymore, you probably even close it down. And somehow, miraculously, it manages to do both, because the animatronics are easy to duke out, and once you get the laser gun of the photo camera, they never become an issue. You click it at them, they stop in track, and you just run off. They don't become an issue for you anymore. They become so easy to evade and avoid. But then, the other hand, it's too hard, because on the rare occasion that you do get killed, or on the rare occasion that like a security bot or not rare, it happens all the time, security bot grabs you and then like you die immediately, because of the shitty saving system, you have to go back all the way up until you last saved. So it's like a microcosm of frustration, this game. And if I'm describing your game like that, a free to play microcosm of frustration, it's not a scary game. It's I'm walking around. That's it. That's it. That's the rant. That's it. I'm done. I don't want to read another review because otherwise we're going to be here for like 2 more hours. That's it.